this is Marty, Business Analyst for the Visual Development Team. In this session, we will cover an overview for version 9.02. In this session, we will first cover 9 changes that have happened for procurement, quantity display enhancements for labor reporting. Also, in manufacturing window, I can now go to the engineering master. Contact maintenance has been updated. Scheduling has 3 new enhancements. There's a UI sizing change. And we will end by looking at the video library. For the 9 changes made for procurement, I want to begin by looking at the ones that are inside of the material planning window. Included are quoting history, user-defined fields visibility, as well as confirmed ship date from the PO lines. In the material planning window, I will enter my fabricated part 1, and then under the info menu, I'll go to the new option, quoting history. Here you will notice that I have a few quotes out for the existing part ID. Staying inside of the material planning window, let's look at the user-defined enhancements that are included. You'll notice that on the demand side, I'm including 1 through 10. And moving to the right, you'll notice I also have the supply level. So whatever the source, I will have the user-defined fields come across at this point. The third enhancement is visibility to the confirmed ship date. Let's go look at the source. Purchase order entry under your dispatch tab, you can now go in and put in the confirmed ship date, which would be coming from your vendor. Or you can go to the line level and enter it there. Next, we will look at the enhancement for lead time being added to vendor supplying the part or service. My first example is inside of part maintenance. I'm going to go into vendor part supplied, and you can see the lead time column being added. Note that this is for information only. It's also available in RFQ, services, and quoting. Here's an example of generating a purchase order from an RFQ. Lead time was added to the RFQ. I can see it here in this current dialog to help make purchasing decisions. Document attachment functionality has been added to service maintenance. Starting at document maintenance, you'll notice that a reference type of service has been added. Next, we'll look at document folders. And here you can also see the service type being used to map the path for my documents. Moving over to outside service maintenance, I can now go into document reference, and I can actually pull in a document. I'll drag and drop and add it to the reference piece. And you'll notice the reference type and path being used. Next, we can cover 3 more version 9.02 procurement enhancements. The first enhancement allows users to select specific service dispatch ID when doing a transaction. So for this example, I'm going to go in, and you notice that this one purchase order, I have multiple dispatch IDs. I'll select a specific one, and the line will focus to that dispatch. I'll receive a certain quantity against the dispatch, and I'll leave the order open for the remaining pieces to be received later. The next enhancements will focus in the receipt return window. Getting into the dialog, and I should be able to modify and stretch it. The next enhancement, I'll actually add a quantity to be returned, and I'll scroll over to the right hand side, and I can now enter in a transaction description, which will show up inside of inventory transaction entry, as well as the receiver line. Selecting the receipt return and looking at the line, you can see the transaction ID as well as the description that I added in the return dialog. I'm going to go over and open this inventory transaction, and you can see the description coming across as well. Being able to modify PO receipt dates on internal buy-sell orders will be our final procurement type enhancement. In my example, I have a 2-line purchase order linked to another internal customer order. You'll notice that line 1 has already completed shipment. On line 2, I want to modify the receipt date. In my example now, I'll go through and I'll try to modify line 1, and I get the standard message from earlier versions saying that I'm unable to do it or change the purchase order. Now with version 9.02, I can modify the receive date on line 2, and it will be saved. Barcode labor as well as shop floor reporting labor have quantity complete columns added to their dialog. Operation quantity completed, quantity deviated, and quantity remaining will now appear. In the manufacturing window, when you are displaying a work order, you can now go and see the engineering masters for any specific piece, whether it's at the header level, fabricated, or leg level. You can drill down to the engineering master. Let's go into the manufacturing window and I'll show you a few of the links to the engineering masters. Here I'm in the header of a work order and you can see the icon for the engineering master. Opening a fabricated requirement, I can go into the info menu and open the engineering master from there. With the pop-up menu on, you can right-click and also open up the engineering master. And finally, the leg header cards can also open in engineering master. The display for contact management has been updated to be more of the standard visual maintenance structure. For example, here's a previous view of the contact maintenance. And in version 9.02, you can notice that the top portion has been updated and will include the advanced browse windows, enabling more search capabilities and sorting using the advanced browse and advanced search. The next section will cover scheduling enhancements. The first option is rate-based scheduling. To demonstrate, I'd like to begin with an example. Here you'll notice I have 2 demand orders for 10 units each, and they will both ship on the same day. Both require fabricated parts from production. The order supplied multiple demand orders, but for this example, I'm only going to be supplying one for each fabricated requirement. As you can see, both demand orders are fulfilled after the production run has been completed, and both will be on time. Now production has been delayed, and you can see that demand order 1 has been pushed out or delayed further and scheduled when all fabricated parts are completed on the fabricated subassembly. For demand order 2, you'll notice that it is still on time due to the new rate-based enhancement. Supply is ready based upon a daily run rate of the supplying fabricated part. Next, we can view the details of how rate-based is set up. Here you'll notice my work order, and I'm going to go into the operation, and it is the last operation on the work order that determines the rate. Here you can see that the run rate is 1 piece per hour on a resource that has a capacity of 1 on shift 1 only, which results in a quantity of 8 being produced per day. The rate-based fabrication flag can be found underneath the Planning tab and can be controlled at the site level. Set this flag for any fabricated parts that would use this setting. The material planning window also demonstrates the rate-based enhancement. Here you'll notice the work order broken down. The rate-based quantity of 8 units per day is displaying, and the work order contains an asterisk for every row that is rate-based. Check availability has also been enhanced for rate-based scheduling. For this example, I have set my top level part to rate-based fabrication. In custom order entry, I will select the row, then I'll go over to File, check scheduling availability, schedule, and you should notice down below there is a rate per day and the first delivery date is now available based on the fabrication rate of the last operation. The third scheduling enhancement will be setup overlaps previous operation. Starting with a work order that has 2 operations. Looking at the first operation, there is only runtime of 1 piece per hour. However, looking at the second operation, you will notice that there is also 1 piece per hour runtime requiring 8 hours of setup. The work order is for 16 units, so we can finish it within 5 days. 2 days for the first operation and 3 days for the second operation, which includes 8 hours of setup time. The setup is designed to begin the setup prior to the previous operation completing its runtime. Under the Other tab, I can now go to Setup Overlaps Previous Operation. The same work order will now only take us 4 days to produce. In this example, you can see the setup time is overlapping the previous operation. Sizing changes are now saved to the database by user ID. This allows users to keep their window sizes when moving to other machines. The name of the new table is Sizing, and here you can see the example shows you that it's stored by user ID and program ID inside of the database. The video library was added in version 9.01. Here in 9.02 we have added some additional videos. Access to the videos can be found underneath the Help menu in the video library. In addition to the version 9 videos, we have also added in earlier videos for version 8 and 7 as well. Thank you for watching the overview video for Visual version 9.02.